Hilda wondered how she would feel working with the new Diesel in the yard. She did not like him very much. He hardly said anything nice to her, and he didn't view her as a friend. But as Gordon said, sometimes it takes a little bit of kindness. And she also had to show him the direction to the yard because he did not know how to get there. Finally, Hilda spoke up.
"Did you work in the yards on the East Lancashire line?"
she began. "Of course I did," the Diesel retorted. "Do you think I remained in the shed all day?" Hilda was upset. It was a weak question, but she was only trying to be friendly. He didn't have to be so bossy about it. She opened her mouth to say so, but John was already speaking. "The East Lancashire Railway is better than the feeble Northwestern Railway. We have express engines, and West countries are—"
"We've express engines too," said Hilda in defense. "They're called Pip and Emma. They're very nice. You should befriend them."
"They are not enough," exclaimed John. "At East Lancashire, we have 2 Southern Railway West countries. All I could see around here are slow operational engines. I hate it!" Hilda felt quite insulted by John's outburst. She thought that the Northwestern Railway was the most wonderful place in the whole world. How could John say such horrible things?
"I don't hate the Northwestern," she said nervously. "I love it."
"That's because you don't know any better," growled John. "You've never been any other place." Hilda was very dejected about what the new Diesel had said. She wished someone would tell him that he should just go back to the East Lancashire Railway. She didn't want a new engine who would show such hate for her home. Very soon, Hilda arrived at the yard. She began to feel sorry for having such thoughts, but it was John's fault all along. She felt better when she saw her best friend Louise Nelson.
"Is that the new Diesel?" she said with excitement. "I heard he did great shunting trucks so far. Miss Gracie said he'll be working with Nels today."
Hilda looked at Louise's ecstatic face. She was suddenly proud of the new Diesel.
"It's too bad Pete is planning to fight him."
Hilda looked with shock.
"He can't do that," she remarked. "Not this new Diesel. You know, Pete, he'd do anything."
Hilda felt uneasy. What if Pete really did what he said he would? What if he hurt John? Even if he did not like the Northwestern Railway, he was now one of them. At Cronk, John and Nels arrived with their goods train. Soon, they rested on the siding to prepare for their delivery back. Pete was at the station too. He stared threateningly at John.
"John, is it?"
he began, in a very unpleasant way.
"This feeble Diesel that has arrived on the Northwestern."
John looked angrily at Pete.
"Oh, you fool," said John fiercely. "You act all tough and mighty because you are big, but in reality, you are a big baby!"
Pete was horrified at what he had said.
"You're trying to insult me already?" he said disapprovingly. "I told you I'd show you who was boss, didn't I?"
John looked at the big Diesel sternly. He did not pay attention to the fact that Pete was much taller and stronger than him.
"All right," said John. "Give it all you've got."
The two began to butt heads with each other. John sprang to Pete as an angry animal would. But John was no match for Pete. Pete biffed him into a pile of buffers and was ready to pounce on him again when something struck him from behind, taking him off guard. It was Hilda, whistling angrily, coupled up behind Pete and coming to the new Diesel's rescue.
"You leave him alone!"
she screamed.
as she pulled Pete to keep him away from John. Before Pete could push her away, Henry whistled.
Silent! Henry demanded. What a terrible way for engines to act on the Northwestern Railway.
Henry looked at Hilda.
Whatever has gotten into you? The way you behaved was freak and indecent. If I were controller, I would never have brought you to work on this railway. And if I got you, I'd have scrapped you.
After John was put back on the rails, Hilda steamed to Louise. Hilda told Louise she was surprised at her actions too. What has gotten into her to attack Pete? Well, at least she stood up for the new diesel. Maybe now he would want to be her friend. But John had no intention of being her friend. In fact, when they headed home, he looked at her with a scowl.
Let me take care of my own fights. I don't need you helping me.
Later, she spoke to Gordon about the issue.
It's good for you to talk about it and get it off your chest, Gordon said. But really, Hilda, John acted like many diesels would. Some diesels think that they are the strongest machine ever built. Big engines are the same way. It took me some time to realize that I was not invincible.
Hilda looked at Gordon and thought that he had a point. Hilda was still upset, however. After her conversation with Gordon, she returned to her shed. She sadly looked at the maple tree. Her whole day was going wrong. She wanted to get back at Henry and Pete for being so cruel, and wanted John to learn manners before she ever became his friend. There beside Hilda was a coach. She was old, and one she had never seen before.
You are full of sorrow and fear,
the coach said. Hilda stared at the coach. She then looked at the coach's name, Maya.
How do you know that?
Maya began.
Your eyes are full of tears,
the wise coach stated.
And you're hiding from the other engines. Not all engines are cruel. Some are nice and have a heart of gold.
Hilda continued to listen.
Miss Gracie told Lois to shunt me here. She knew this was your place and that you needed help. She wanted to tell you that you and Louis Nelson would be working on Thomas's branch line with him. Maybe that will take your mind off this matter.
Hilda, still sad, looked at the coach.
Thanks, Maya,
she said. Soon, Lois shunted Maya away, and Douglas came to bring Hilda to Thomas's branch. One morning, Thomas looked towards Percy and Toby as they prepared to do their work. Two new engines are visiting the branch line today, he stated. Miss Gracie wants them to enjoy the work here, so I expect you two to be on your best behavior. Percy and Toby looked at Thomas. Two new engines, said Percy. What if there are selfish jerks who will not stop boasting to us about how they are the best? They could even be mad, Toby followed. Thomas sighed, then looked at the two other engines again. Miss Gracie does not want any trouble on the line today, okay? We all have work to do, so please, don't cause any trouble. Later, Hilda and Louise arrived on the branch line. However, Percy and Toby began to question them and decided to make sure that they did not do any boasting. That night, they were worse than ever. Percy and Toby asked them all about the facts of the Northwestern. The other two engines were tired of it and begged them to stop. Please, said Louise Nelson. We're tired already. Can we please rest now? First, said Percy, we want to make sure that you are not selfish like some other engines on our railway. Hilda blew her whistle angrily. Stop picking on us, she yelled. We are only here to work, but it seems that there's no pleasing you. How much more do you want? The two engines continued questioning them until Thomas arrived. Percy, Toby, he said. What are you doing to these two? Percy and Toby solemnly stared at Thomas. We are trying to make sure that these engines are not prideful, said Percy, which is why this interrogation is important. Well, enough, Thomas demanded. This is not going to get us anywhere. These two engines you are speaking to are here to help out on our branch line. They are not here to boast about anything. These two here are youngsters, so please. And with that, Thomas and the two engines left the shed. I'm glad you stood up for your best friend, he said. You are a very brave engine. Hilda finally began to smile. Thank you, she said. Do you have a friend you would stand up for? Thomas looked at Hilda gently. I do, he said. She is very special to me. She is very different from the rest of us, and she speaks a different language too. Some of the other engines make fun of her for that. When I saw Percy and Toby looking strangely at her, I was horrified. I soon stood up for her too. She may be different, but she is a hard worker. Hilda smiled. And by the way, I'm sorry Percy and Toby gave you a hard time. I try to keep them in order, but sometimes they don't listen. It's alright. Some engines are like that. But you are a good engine. Thomas smiled. Thanks. And don't let those two get in your head. If you have a goal, chase after it. And don't let anyone stop you. The next day, Hilda shunted the trucks near the sheds. While shunting the trucks, she heard noises in one of them. Do you hear that sound? Said Hilda to her driver. The driver looked at the truck. It's not me, the truck said. The driver stepped down to look inside the truck. Well, Hilda, Thomas remarked, you found some kittens. I know, said Hilda. Aren't they adorable? They need a shelter. Please, help them with it. Oh, the kittens. My daughter was worried about you. Well done, Hilda.
Soon, Hilda and Louise prepared to go to the main line. But before leaving, Hilda spoke to Thomas once more.
Thanks for helping me on your branch,
She said,
you are very kind. I hope we could visit again.
"Don't worry," Thomas replied. "I'm sure Miss Gracie will arrange it. I might even come to visit you on the main line someday." And with that, Hilda laughed.
Thanks for sticking up for me,
Said Louise.
Percy and Toby really made me feel low.
"Me too," said Hilda.
I don't like how they kept interrogating us about the Northwestern ways. Don't worry, I will always stick up for you, because that's what best friends do. Best friends? Always. Also, I heard Miss Gracie say she was planning to rescue an engine from the Barry scrapyard and bring it here. Is that so, Louise? Well, in that case, we'll have another friend on our railway.